Pearson, put through by Greenoff. Jones is after it. Pearson shot, goal!
Welcome to this special Christmas edition of The Big Match. And what a star lineup we have for you today, with Elton John, who is here to sing us a footballing song, John Cleese, who is here to provide a rather special match report for us, and Peter Cook, who joins us as a Spurs fan and tells why he never sees them score. And as I promised last week, special skills from two very special guests. And of course our Christmas show wouldn't be complete without one of those ITV fun spots, and that comes up later on. But we live each week by the quality of the football we can bring you. And today a superb match as Tottenham face Crystal Palace. That's from the second division. And we back it up with first division action as Liverpool meet QPR and Leeds United face Manchester City. But first we make our way to White Hart Lane, Spurs against Crystal Palace, and a big day for one young man. Terry Fenwick is just 18 and today makes his first league appearance for Crystal Palace, and it's not the easiest of games for him, but clearly Terry Venables goes by that old football saying that if he's good enough, then he's old enough. This Palace side disrupted by a midweek injury to Vince Hilaire and the continued absence of defender Ian Evans, of course, who had a setback since breaking his leg. It's now in plaster again for another month. Phil Holder playing against his old club Tottenham. As for Spurs themselves, they of course have Peter Taylor playing against his old Crystal Palace teammates. But today Tottenham without defender Jim Holmes, he's injured, and Don McAllister takes his place at number 3. The referee today is Malcolm Sinclair. He comes from Guildford, and now the crowd are hoping for some early Christmas cheer. So Palace kick off. They've got the red and blue stripes and white shorts. Tottenham in white. Tony Burns getting an early touch there for Crystal Palace. Palace, who came here in 1972, the last time they played in the league. Then Spurs won 2-1. And in fact, that day in 1972, only 3 players from the 22 on the field that day survived. They're all Tottenham players: Pratt, Naylor and Perriman. Of course, it's quite a comeback day for the Crystal Palace manager, Terry Venables. There he is, a Tottenham player of some distinction, of course, for a number of years. Hurst right in there. And Perriman again, tidying up well. But Palace getting the ball back once more until Terry Naylor once again got in there for Tottenham Hotspur, but it's a throw for Palace. Sanson with it. Paul Hinshelwood's come up well into that Tottenham penalty area. Good long throw by the youngster. Hinshelwood but it was always going to be Barry Daines' ball. Shoving it back to Colindi by Jim Cannon. A free kick to Tottenham. So Perriman with the kick for Tottenham. High towards Colin Lee, won it well in the air. Oh, it's a big goal! 3 minutes gone. A great breakthrough for Tottenham. Well, Colin Lee, who began his career at Tottenham scoring 4 goals in one game, has now become a maker of goals. He did it last week and he's done it again now. Tremendous leap by him. And there was Hobble catching it beautifully on the volley. Spurs 1, Crystal Palace 0 with 3 minutes gone. Glenn Hoddle the scorer. Duncan. Nab. And what a noise there is here now. Pratt, in fact, not a Malcolm Sinclair having a quick word there with Neil McNabb for a foul on a Crystal Palace player. Palace with the free kick. Now it's Harkouk. Sanson. Harkouk. Spurs, who won the game a month ago at Selhurst Park, 2-1. Oh, and a great goal there! Now, and it made it 1-1. David Swindlehurst, the man, but a linesman is flagging on the far side. That will not count. Well, David Swindlehurst thought that he'd got Palace on level terms there. He's not scored since September, but he met that ball beautifully, but the linesman was unhappy with it. It must have been offside, and the goal does not count. Duncan just glancing it on. Nicholas. Hinchelwood. Well, that was Lee's determination that forced that error out of Paul Hinchelwood, and here's McAllister. A little touch this time for John Pratt. That should be Tony Burns' ball. And now it's with Barry Silkman. Good run by Chatterton from that throw, and he's put him right in. And a great save. And a goal! And this time Swindlehurst has got one that does count. Chatterton's shot. And it was saved by Barry Daines as he came out. And it fell for Swindlehurst. Not an easy ball for him to control, but he put it in the back of the net there. And that brings it to 1-1. There's David Swindlehurst, his first goal since September, and the second time he's had the ball in the net here at Tottenham this afternoon. The first one ruled out. Barry Daines knocked Melbourne a little bit, I think. Hinchelwood. Harkouk's right in there. They're making some good runs from deep at the moment at Palace. It was, of course, Chatterton's run from deep for that throw that led to the goal. Hinchelwood made one there. There's a foul by Swindlehurst on McNabb. A free kick to Tottenham. Alistair. Pratt. Good play by Tottenham here. Hoddle crosses a lovely ball in there. Duncan was right in there. Pratt is right in there. Taylor there. Oh, just a beautiful move there. Palace always stretch from the moment Ben Hoddle got that crossing. Duncan was right in there, and the ball eventually came out to Peter Taylor, caught it on the volley, difficult angle, and it goes for a corner. Which Taylor himself will take. McAllister's made a run, and a late one, and Burns never for a moment took his eye off the ball. That's a good throw too. Harkouk being pursued by John Pratt. Look at Chatterton's run again from deep, and Naylor getting back very quickly. Must say Chatterton has looked very impressive indeed. That's 2 or 3 tremendous runs from deep that he's made, and of course it was his run from the throw that led to the goal. Osgood planting it forward. Duncan right up there, getting very little change in the air from a fellow Scot, Jim Cannon, at the moment. But here's Peter Taylor for Tottenham again. This time the cross coming in. This time Duncan did get his head to it, but didn't quite get the angle he wanted. Applause all around the ground for that move. For Taylor's good cross. Duncan getting in there. I don't think he'll be entirely happy with that header though. A topsy-turvy game so far for the managers to suffer. Terry Venables there. Perryman for Tottenham. Hoddle allowing allowing it to go through now for Osgood. Lee chipping again towards Duncan. The ball there inside the box, but the referee said there was no foul. Hoddle again, chipping it through once more. Cannon again, whacking it away to the safety of touch. Lee. Dealing roughly with him. This has gone twice or three times in fact, but it's a free kick to Tottenham. Peter Taylor already across to take it. Colin Lee going to where he might be able to use his head to good effect. Duncan making a run towards the near post. They're all in there! And pointing to the bridge, I've done it with my head and it doesn't happen often. But what a beautiful header that was as Duncan took one or two players with him towards the near post. And Hoddle was steaming in behind him with a glorious header. Spurs 2, Crystal Palace 1. Well, Ron Greenwood's talking about some youngsters in the pipeline who in 2 or 3 years' time are going to take their place where it matters for England, and I think a lot of people would agree that Glenn Hoddle must have been one of those youngsters he's got in mind. Boy from Harlow. Free kick to Crystal Palace. Hinchelwood, track jumping well, here's Lee. Hinchelwood in again quickly. Well, a free kick to Tottenham. Used to be a forward, Paul Hinchelwood, but he's in fact turned into a good and aggressive defender. McAllister with the kick. High towards John Duncan. Terry Fenwick getting that one away. Hoddle. Naylor. John Pratt doing a dummy. Phil Holder not buying it. Taylor. Hoddle. Touch on there. Naylor, what a good cross, what a good move. Ending with Duncan putting it over the bar, but a lovely build-up by Tottenham. Real one-touch and ambitious stuff of that. Lovely little threesome down in the corner there that led to that cross. Harcook. Sanson. Perryman again. Peter Taylor. Went past his man there quite easily. Harcook. Now McAllister. Here's McNabb. Spurs plunging men forward again. Taylor on this side. A little chip there. McNabb knew that was coming. Precious little room. Very nearly got it through, and he has in fact got it through. And now McAllister. His thoughts there. He suddenly saw that opening for him. He took careful aim. I thought for a moment it was going to go in off the post, but for Don McAllister, disappointment, it came back out again. Taylor. Well, easy always to see afterwards. An advantage might have been played there, but Taylor certainly taking advantage of this. Went forward for a very good save. Lee just wide. Well, it very nearly came off for Tottenham. After all, Taylor going through there, really letting fly with that left foot. And in fact, Tony Burns did well to be big enough to stop it. The ball bouncing out to Colin Lee and just wide. About 2.5 minutes to go to half-time now. Barry Daines with a kick. Duncan, Hoddle again. John Pratt moving it in for Don McAllister. That's a good cross. Duncan was there with a header a fraction too high for him. Lee was just behind. And Peter Taylor's overhead, cannoning off a Palace defender. Good cross by McAllister though. Just too high for Duncan. So John Pratt with the corner for Tottenham. They're all steaming in there again. Lee among them. Here's Osgood. Now a chance maybe to cross that again. That's a dangerous looking cross once more. McAllister in there. Kicked off the line. Well, it was Paul Hinchelwood who rescued Crystal Palace there. McAllister in that crowded area, but Spurs are threatening again in that crowded area. Offside against Rashid Harcourt. Now let's have a look at that one again. In that crowded area, it was Don McAllister who looked as though he was on the way to scoring goal number 3 until Paul Hinchelwood was right on the line to hack it away. Jim Cannon, Chatterton, Perryman. Oh, what a beautiful covering job again by Steve Perryman. Play on, said the referee, and he's absolutely right. Well, Harcourt now, but there's a bit of nonsense over there, a bit of giving a free kick to Crystal Palace. Foul by Steve Perryman. Certainly it appeared to be a trip on Peter Taylor, but it looked like one of those clashes where it was totally accidental. And it's a free kick which either Barry Silkman or Phil Holder will take for Crystal Palace. Right, the last seconds of the first half. In fact, referee Malcolm Sinclair just looked at his watch. Swindlehurst, and a goal! Well, he's got his second one as well. And Palace, who've been under the whip for so long, as Spurs have turned on the style, have now come whipping back with that header by Dave Swindlehurst. In she goes, wide of Barry Daines. There are boos for the referee, Malcolm Sinclair, for not stopping the game when Peter Taylor was brought down. And everything now has swung back to give Crystal Palace a chance. So, right on half-time, a controversial equaliser. And Osgood, as the whistle goes. Glenn Hoddle, absolutely brilliant for Tottenham, scoring both their goals. One in the 3rd minute and one in the 21st. Dave Swindlehurst, in fact, scoring 2 for Crystal Palace in the 11th minute and right on half-time. Fancy we're going to have a tremendous second half in this second division game here at White Hart Lane. With a half-time score then, Spurs 2, Crystal Palace 2. We'll be right back with that second half. after an excellent first half, shared at 2-2, and now Spurs attacking the goal to our right. Osgood finding it there towards John Pratt. Ian Evans on the right there is the man really they're missing badly in this Palace defence since that injury. Jerry Murphy, the substitute, in the centre with Terry Venables, the manager, on the left. And a free kick now to Tottenham, the foul by Cannon on Lee. And Terry Naylor with the free kick. Duncan's again waiting in the middle. It's Peter Taylor, in fact, who floats it in there towards Duncan, and Nicholas got nicely behind that one for Palace. McNabb. Perryman. Chipped in again. Look at Hoddle leading the charge there. Duncan right in there too. And Hoddle, what a lovely little chip. They're all getting up for that one. And in the end, it's Cannon and Hinshelwood who got it away. Again, beautiful example of Hoddle's thinking. Beautifully played little chip in there, and it just wouldn't go for Tottenham. Ken Sansom. Swindlehurst. Silkman. Yes, he was having a little... Well, I'm astonished at that. I would have thought, if anything, that had to be the other way. That looked to me as though Silkman was having a little go at Terry Naylor. Malcolm Sinclair said no. And it's Palace who get the free kick. So, the man in black is not the most popular man at White Hart Lane at the moment. Chatterton, Swindlehurst, crossed in again and a go by, and Harcourt was right in there. As that ball came in, certainly Harcourt flung himself at it. That's Peter Nicholas down into it. Crystal Palace physiotherapist Charlie Simpson coming on as well to see what the problem is here with Peter Nicholas, who in fact broke his leg about 2 months ago, and in fact has only had it out of plaster about a month, and I think it looks as though the stretcher is going to come on for poor young Peter Nicholas. That'll be a terrible blow for the youngster, and Jerry Murphy is coming on. Silkman, Murphy. Oh, well stopped by Peter Taylor. Colony right up. Duncan on the far side, but Taylor's run up a little bit of a blind alley there. Now, can he cut back? There's the simple ball to Hoddle. McNabb. And cut out by Swindlehurst. Perryman's little touch to Osgood. Lee, back for Pratt. Sanson away. Hoddle. That was a tremendous shot. I thought for a moment it was going over, but it went whistling past Tony Burns against that crossbar. Hinshelwood. On the throw by Hoddle. Duncan trying in vain to get that extra inch or two to beat Hinchelwood. He couldn't do it. It's a corner for Tottenham. With about 20 minutes to go now. Well, that time McAllister had made his run, but the ball didn't come anywhere near him. Here's Osgood instead, though. Crossing that back in well. Lee was up there. Sanson getting it away. Naylor carefully and skillfully nodding it wide there for John Pratt. Cross coming in once more. And Silkman, the only Palace man up, except that Harcook is right up there with him now. Murphy's getting up too. That's the one played by Silkman for Harcook. And it's... thought for a moment it was the goal that Crystal Palace were looking for. Silkman did well to break out there and found Harcook well. Thought it was a goal there, but it went just wide. Taylor. Good crossing again. Hoddle was leading them all again, and I think they've got a corner. Yes, Spurs have a corner. Annoyed that he didn't put one in against his old teammates there. I think it was Hoddle at the near post who glided that header on. Taylor with a good chance, putting it over the top. Cannon. The goalkeeper Tony Burns, because Taylor hit that well, and I think Tony Burns, well, I thought he mussed it up for a moment, but he just got enough on it to take it wide of the post. And Duncan over with the header, and Palace can breathe again. Swindlehurst, Chatterton, and the final whistle goes. It's a 2-2 draw, and certainly Terry Venables will be delighted, I would have thought, and certainly very satisfied with the point that Crystal Palace have got here, having come to visit his old club. 2 goals by Glenn Hoddle and 2 by David Swindlehurst, all of them in the first half. Bring us a final score then at White Hart Lane that reads Spurs 2, Crystal Palace 2.
Well, to bring you right up to date, the young Palace defender Peter Nicholas, who was carried off in the second half there, has no more than a kick on the ankle that he broke 2 months ago, so very happily that wasn't as serious as we at first feared. But what about the 2 controversial moments in that game? First was David Swindlehurst offside when he had the ball in the net for Palace soon after the start. Here's Rashid Harcook being pursued by Neil McNabb. Whips in a good cross there in front of the front men. Now, as we stop it here, David Swindlehurst, in fact, is in an offside position. He's certainly level with Keith Osgood there. I suppose what we have to ask ourselves is whether he made a late run from an onside position. But I think in those situations, from that angle, you have to give the benefit of the doubt to the linesman. But what about the other controversial incident right on half-time when Jim Cannon fouled Peter Taylor, and from that Spurs got, or rather Palace got an equalising goal. There's Peter Taylor going for the ball, Cannon going behind him. What's in Cannon's mind? Did he intend to foul Peter Taylor? I can't help feeling that with Taylor coming up so fast behind, he could hardly have known that the man was there. I thought first off that the referee was absolutely right to allow the game to go on. But when it goes on, Terry Naylor, who'd had such a good season for Tottenham, I think lost his head a little bit there, pulling Barry Silkman back. Really, there was no danger and no need for that. And that time there was a free kick given to Crystal Palace, and from it David Swindlehurst did get an equalising goal. Well, before we left White Hart Lane yesterday, we managed to get the views of a typical Tottenham supporter, though you may recognise him as Peter Cook. How is it that Spurs scored only twice yesterday?
It's basically my fault because last time I was here we scored 9 goals.